Life is a psychological game. Carl Jung's secret to winning it. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a game to be played. Carl Jung once suggested that our greatest suffering comes from taking life too seriously, forgetting that we are both the player and the piece on the board. In this video from Spiritual Wisdom, we'll explore how understanding the psychological rules of this game can transform your challenges into opportunities for mastery, joy, and growth. What if winning in life isn't about control, but about awareness, adaptability, and inner balance? Comment below with your thoughts. How do you play the game of life? And if this message resonates, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss the next step on your journey of spiritual awakening. 1. Life is a game, not a test. Carl Jung once revealed that life is not a solemn examination, but a psychological and spiritual game. And in this game, the only way to truly win is to stop trying so hard to win. We are not placed on earth to be perfect, to earn a grade, or to meet society's impossible expectations. We are here to play, to explore, to grow in consciousness. When you stop treating life as a serious test and begin to see it as an ever-evolving game of the soul, you release the heavy burden of control and open yourself to the lightness of being. Suddenly, existence becomes less about survival and more about participation, less about the outcome and more about the experience itself. This shift from fear to play, from tension to trust, is the first real step of spirituality, the beginning of spiritual awakening. When we play a game, we don't obsess over every move. We engage fully, we take risks, and we learn as we go. Jung's insight shows that life functions in the same way. Every encounter, every loss, every victory is simply another move in the grand design of consciousness. The problem is that most people forget they are players, and they mistake the game for the test. They become trapped in anxiety, perfectionism, and self-judgment, always fearing they might fail. But in truth, failure does not exist in this game. Only feedback does. Each challenge appears not to punish, but to teach. The soul uses experience as its language, translating our pain, joy, and confusion into deeper awareness. Once you see this, you begin to move differently through life, calmer, lighter, more awake. Children understand this naturally. They play with total immersion, but never forget it as play. They are completely in the moment, creative, curious, and alive. As adults, we lose that sacred innocence because we've been conditioned to measure, to compare, to prove. But spiritual awakening is about returning to that childlike wisdom where you live, create, and love without constantly asking whether you are enough. When you embrace life as a game, the seriousness dissolves, the pressure fades, and you reconnect with your inner freedom. You begin to act not from fear of failure, but from the joy of expression. You start to realize that consciousness itself is playing through you, that you are both the player and the playground. Jung's teachings remind us that the true battlefield is the mind, and once you master your inner state, the outer world becomes a reflection of that mastery. Life begins to mirror your inner balance. When you move with presence, people respond differently. When you let go of control, things start to flow. When you stop chasing validation, peace finds you. The real victory is not in outsmarting the world, but in understanding yourself. As Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. That is the moment you stop playing unconsciously and begin to play with awareness. It is where spirituality becomes practical, where awakening meets reality. Every emotion you feel, every reaction you give, is a move in this psychological game. You can choose to respond from fear or from wisdom, from ego or from awareness. The more you learn the rules of your own psyche, the more elegantly you play. And those rules are simple. Pay attention to your thoughts, observe your emotions, and remember that nothing happening to you is personal. It is all an invitation to evolve. When you treat life as a spiritual practice rather than a punishment, your energy changes. The heaviness turns to curiosity, the confusion to clarity, the chaos to flow. You begin to see that the goal of this game is not to win against others, but to remember who you are. And in that remembrance, you discover the deepest truth of all that life was never testing you. It was teaching you how to awaken. If today's message resonated with you, take your first step toward mastering the psychological game of life. Comment below, "I play with awareness," to affirm that you're ready to move through life not as a test, but as a conscious, evolving game of growth and wisdom. 2. You're playing a role, but you are not the role. Like actors who lose themselves in the roles they play, we too often forget that life itself is a grand performance and that we are merely wearing temporary masks. You may call yourself a teacher, a lover, a parent, or even a failure. But these are only costumes your soul wears for a while. Carl Jung, through his profound spiritual wisdom, revealed that the ego is just a mask, an identity created to help us interact with the world, but it is not who we truly are. Beneath the layers of expectation, reputation, and memory lies something eternal, the awareness observing it all. You are not the actor on the stage. You are the consciousness watching the play unfold. Once you remember this, you begin to live differently. Life no longer feels like a punishment or a race, but a divine opportunity for spiritual development, a classroom for the soul to awaken through experience. When you identify too strongly with the role you play, you suffer the way an actor would if they forgot the performance was temporary. You start mistaking the pain of the scene for your own pain, the script for your destiny. Jung called this danger over-identification with the persona, the illusion that your public mask is your true self. The moment you realize this deception, the world around you changes. You see that your job title, your relationship status, your failures, or your achievements cannot define your essence. They are chapters, not the book. They are waves on the surface of a vast ocean, but you are the ocean itself still, deep, unshakable. This realization is the birth of spiritual maturity, the very essence of spiritual development. It's when you stop clinging to what comes and goes and begin resting in what has always been your inner awareness. When you live from this awareness, you begin to play your roles beautifully but lightly. You can be ambitious without being consumed by ambition, loving without losing yourself in attachment, successful without fearing loss. You realize that every role, whether of triumph or trial, was designed to teach your soul something about itself. Even your failures become sacred, for they push you to remember who you truly are beyond appearances. You start observing your emotions instead of drowning in them, and that simple awareness transforms everything. The same world remains around you, but your experience of it becomes richer, softer, more meaningful. So, as you move through the stages of your life, wear your masks when needed, but don't forget to take them off in silence and return to the stillness of your true being. You are not what the world calls you. You are the one who hears the call. And when you awaken to that truth, life stops being a battlefield and becomes a dance, a game of divine consciousness, where every moment, whether sweet or bitter, becomes a step toward greater spiritual wisdom and deeper spiritual development. Comment below, I am not my role. I am my soul. If you're ready to rise above the masks of life and step into your true self. 3. The game has no final destination. There is no ultimate victory waiting for you at the end of this journey, because in truth, life itself was never designed as a race. The game has no final destination, no crown of completion. It is not something to be conquered, but something to be experienced moment by moment, breath by breath. Just like music or dance, its beauty lies not in the ending, but in the movement. You don't listen to a song just to reach the last note. You listen because every sound, every pause, every rhythm awakens something within you. You don't dance to arrive at a particular spot. You dance because the motion itself makes you feel alive. Yet somewhere along the way, we forgot that. We began to treat life like a linear climb, believing happiness waits only at the top, after success, after perfection. We became obsessed with outcomes, goals, and results, and in doing so, we missed the only place where life actually unfolds, the now. Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom reminds us that the real task is not to reach the end, but to awaken within the process. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. These words carry the essence of the psychological game. We are all playing a game, not of outer competition, but of inner awareness. We often think we are chasing achievements, but what we are truly seeking is a sense of meaning. The more we pursue external validation, the more we drift away from our authentic self. The mind, always hungry for progress, convinces us that peace and purpose lie somewhere ahead after we earn enough, achieve enough, or become enough. But Jung would say the opposite, that peace begins the moment you stop running and start observing. The game doesn't need to be won. It needs to be understood. In this invisible game, the people who suffer most are the ones who forget that play is sacred. They take life too seriously, mistaking temporary losses for total defeat. Every failure, every delay, every heartbreak is not punishment, but instruction. Jung believed that the process of individuation, the journey toward becoming whole, is paved with both light and shadow. There is no coming to consciousness without pain, he wrote, meaning that each challenge you face reveals a hidden layer of yourself. What you resist becomes your teacher. What you fear becomes your guide, and what you accept becomes your strength. To truly win at this psychological game is to remember that you are not here to arrive. You are here to evolve. You win when you stop measuring yourself against others and begin mastering your own energy, your own awareness, your own rhythm. You win when you realize that every moment, even the uncertain ones, is a chance to play with presence, to choose curiosity over control, and to move with life instead of against it. The deeper your awareness grows, the more skillfully you play, not because you are chasing victory, but because you are awake within the game. As Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom teaches, the secret was never about reaching the end. It was about remembering who you are while playing conscious alive, and free. Do you understand that life isn't about arriving somewhere, but about awakening through every step you take? If you do, affirm it in the comments below. I embrace the journey, not the destination. 4. You are the game itself, not just a player. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And in that single sentence lies the key to understanding that life is not something you play. It is something you are. You are not merely a piece moving on the board of existence. You are the board, the game, and the consciousness observing every move. In the depth of Jungian psychology, your mind is not contained within the world. The world is contained within your mind. Everything you encounter, from the people who bless you to those who test you, is a reflection of your own psyche projected outward. What you call reality is the mirror of your own spiritual awakening, showing you where you are free and where you are still bound. Every challenge is not life attacking you. It is life teaching you, revealing the parts of your soul that are ready to evolve into awareness. Once you awaken to this truth, you begin to see that nothing in your life is random. The friend who disappoints you, the lover who leaves you, the setback that shatters your plans, all of them are pieces of a divine design calling you inward. When you stop blaming the outside world, you begin to play the psychological game with consciousness. You move from victim to creator, from reaction to response. Jung believed that every encounter in your external world represents an inner dialogue between your conscious and unconscious mind. To master this game is to stop chasing happiness outside and start understanding the hidden messages life sends through every experience. The real opponent is not the world, it is your unawareness. Think back to your childhood when play felt effortless and alive. You could pretend to be a warrior, a queen, or an explorer, fully immersed, yet never forgetting it was play. That is how an awakened soul lives, participating completely, yet never imprisoned by the illusion. You can laugh, love, fail, and rise again, all while knowing that you are both the actor and the audience. The game of life was never about winning. It was about remembering that the player and the stage are one. True spirituality is not escape. It is engagement with awareness. The more you awaken, the less you judge, because you see that every person you meet is acting out a hidden part of your own consciousness, giving you a chance to integrate and grow. In this understanding, spirituality becomes the art of mastery rather than struggle. When you realize you are the game, life no longer feels like a punishment or test, but an unfolding of your inner world into form. You stop fighting what is happening and begin to cooperate with the deeper intelligence that orchestrates everything. Challenges lose their sting because you know they are only lessons in disguise, guiding you toward greater wholeness. You begin to live with grace, aware, centered, and unshaken. You start to love the process because you finally see that every move, every encounter, and every ending is your own consciousness expanding through experience. In the end, spirituality is not about escaping the illusion of life, but playing it consciously, knowing that you were never just the player, for you were the game all along. 5. Suffering comes from resistance, not pain. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. It's what happens when you resist life instead of flowing with it. When you say, "This shouldn't be happening," You create tension between what is real and what you wish were real, and that resistance becomes the true source of suffering. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He knew that life is a psychological game, and those who understand the rules realize that peace doesn't come from control, but from acceptance. The wise player learns to observe every emotional storm without judgment, just as the sky accepts both sunshine and rain without complaint. You are that sky, vast, unshaken, and eternal, while every emotion, every hardship, and every joy is simply passing weather. The moment you stop identifying with the rain and start realizing you are the open sky that holds it, something changes inside you. Pain no longer feels like punishment. It becomes purification. It's not meant to destroy you, but to deepen you, to guide you into higher states of awareness and spiritual development. Every time you resist reality, you strengthen the ego's illusion of control. But when you surrender, you awaken the soul. Pain becomes your teacher, not your enemy. It shows you where you still cling, where you still fear, where you still hold back from life. The ego wants to escape discomfort, but the spirit knows that growth is born from it. Jung once said, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." When you embrace pain with awareness instead of fear, you begin to transform it into wisdom. You start to see that the moments that once broke you were actually shaping you. In the grand game of life, each challenge is a level that tests your emotional maturity. Each heartbreak an initiation into deeper truth. To resist is to suffer. To accept is to evolve. The most powerful souls are not those who never feel pain, but those who no longer let pain define them. They move through storms without losing their center, because they know the rain will pass and the sun will rise again. Suffering fades when you stop clinging to what was or fearing what might be, and simply allow life to unfold. You begin to live in harmony with the present moment instead of fighting against it. The energy you once wasted resisting becomes fuel for your awakening. Acceptance is not giving up. It's choosing to meet reality with grace and consciousness. It's realizing that life is not here to hurt you, but to awaken you. Pain will visit, but suffering only stays if you invite it in. The more you surrender, the freer you become, because surrender is not weakness, it's alignment with truth. When you can look at pain and say, "I see you, I accept you, and I will learn from you," you begin to master the psychological game of life. That is where true spirituality begins, not in escaping emotion, but in fully feeling it without becoming it, turning every experience, even the painful ones, into a doorway to spiritual development and inner freedom. If this message has touched your heart, remember peace begins the moment you stop resisting what is. Embrace the flow of life and let go of the struggle. If you're ready to release resistance and rise above suffering, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom, and share your reflections in the comments. Let's grow together in awareness and strength. 6. You're free to reinvent yourself. Consistency is overrated. You are free to reinvent yourself at any moment, because who you were 5 minutes ago does not have to dictate who you are now. Real freedom, as Carl Jung revealed through his profound understanding of the human psyche, lies not in holding tightly to one identity, but in the to move fluidly through life while staying rooted in your authentic self. This is what true spiritual wisdom teaches, that transformation is not a betrayal of who you are, but an evolution of your truth. Children understand this effortlessly. One moment they are explorers, the next they are creators, freely shifting roles without overthinking, fully alive in the moment. But as we grow older, we begin to trap ourselves inside rigid identities, pretending that consistency equals strength. We start to mistake predictability for stability, even though our souls crave expansion, not repetition. Consistency becomes a prison when it stops you from becoming who you are meant to be. As Jung once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And that journey requires the courage to evolve beyond who you were yesterday. When you cling to an outdated version of yourself, you're not protecting your identity, you're restricting your growth. Life is not asking you to be the same. It's asking you to be real. Your beliefs, values, and dreams are meant to shift as you awaken to deeper layers of truth. Spiritual awakening is realizing that your identity is not a mask to maintain, but a mirror constantly reflecting new light. What you thought was inconsistency is actually transformation, your inner self reshaping itself in harmony with the rhythm of the universe. To resist change is to resist life itself, because every ending is an opening. Every letting go is a return to authenticity. The most spiritually awakened souls understand that reinvention is not instability, but a sacred expression of trust in your own unfolding, in divine timing, in the intelligence that orchestrates your evolution. Stop fearing the loss of who you were. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding what was too small for your soul to keep wearing. When you release the need to appear consistent, you stop living for validation and start living for liberation. The old version of you served a purpose, but you're not meant to repeat the same chapter forever. Life, as Carl Jung's spiritual wisdom reminds us, is a psychological game where the only way to win is to stay aware, adaptable, and aligned. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. The moment you dare to look within and allow the old self to dissolve, you awaken to infinite possibility. Every breath is a reset. Every choice is a chance to begin again. Every shift in identity is not chaos. It's the soul's natural rhythm of rebirth. To reinvent yourself is not to abandon your past, but to honor the endless power of becoming. 7. There are no real mistakes, only experiences. Every stumble in life is not a failure, but a message, a sacred whisper from the universe guiding your next move. In this psychological game of existence, every experience, no matter how uncomfortable, is a step towards spiritual awakening. Carl Jung, the master of depth psychology, revealed that there is no coming to consciousness without pain. And through this lens, what we often label as mistakes are actually invitations to grow. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall countless times, yet they never stop trying. Their focus is not on falling, but on learning, on discovering balance through movement. This same principle applies to you. In spirituality, growth does not happen through perfection, but through participation, through daring to try, to fail, and to rise again with greater awareness. Each misstep becomes feedback from life, showing where your alignment, focus, or energy needs refinement. As you move along your path, judgment is your only real obstacle. The moment you start condemning yourself for your past or comparing your journey to others, you paralyze your evolution. The universe is not punishing you. It is preparing you. Every delay, rejection, or redirection is your soul's way of sculpting you into someone capable of holding higher wisdom. Spirituality teaches that every experience, pleasant or painful, carries meaning, and every emotion holds a key to deeper understanding. You are not meant to control life like a chessboard. You are meant to play it consciously, to learn its patterns, and to respond with grace. The true masters of this psychological game do not chase certainty. They cultivate awareness. They learn to listen to what each experience is saying without labeling it as good or bad, success or failure. Carl Jung often spoke of individuation, the process of becoming who you truly are beneath the masks of conditioning. This journey requires curiosity, humility, and courage. When you fall, it's not proof that you're broken. It's proof that you're alive, learning, and expanding your consciousness. Spiritual awakening begins when you realize that nothing is wasted, that every struggle refines your inner strength. Like the player who studies every move to master the game, the awakened soul studies every experience to master themselves. Pain becomes wisdom, confusion becomes clarity, and fear becomes faith. The illusion of failure dissolves when you understand that every situation is a mirror reflecting what your soul still needs to integrate. The universe never takes it, only transforms. So instead of fearing your missteps, start honoring them. They are not interruptions in your path. They are your path. Life will keep presenting you with lessons until you no longer see them as punishments, but as divine rehearsals for your evolution. Each fall is feedback. Each disappointment, a hidden door to self-knowledge. Once you stop fearing imperfection, you enter a new dimension of freedom, where every experience, whether joyful or painful, becomes part of your awakening. That is the spiritual wisdom Carl Jung hinted at. You win the psychological game of life, not by avoiding mistakes, but by learning to see them as sacred teachers in disguise, leading you home to yourself. If this message touched your soul today, let it be your reminder that every so-called mistake was guiding you toward wisdom. Comment below. Every experience shapes my awakening, to affirm your trust in growth and the unfolding journey of life. 8. The rules. Change as you play, and everyone can win. Life isn't a rigid structure where the rules stay the same. It's a living, breathing psychological game that evolves as you do. Every decision you make, every thought you hold, every feeling you nurture quietly shapes the direction of your reality. Carl Jung once said that the world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you, reminding us that our inner world defines the outer game. When you move through life burdened by fear, doubt, or resentment, reality seems to mirror those emotions right back to you. But when you begin to embody peace, curiosity, and love, the universe responds like a reflection in clear water, offering harmony, synchronicity, and flow. This is the hidden truth behind both psychology and spirituality. Your perception doesn't just interpret life, it creates it. The more you grow in your spiritual development, the more the rules change, because you begin to realize you were never just a player. You were the game itself all along. What once looked like rejection now feels like redirection. What once felt like chaos transforms into divine order. And what once seemed like loss becomes a gateway to freedom. Every hardship becomes a teacher. Every conflict becomes a mirror. And every ending reveals a higher beginning. You start to see that no one truly loses, because there was never any other to compete with, only fragments of yourself meeting through experience. Jung warned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And that is the moment you awaken, the instant you realize that awareness itself changes everything. Once you stop fighting the flow and begin observing your own patterns, life ceases to feel like punishment and starts to feel like participation. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start understanding, "This is happening for me." The world doesn't demand that you dominate it. It asks that you understand it, harmonize with it, and play consciously. As your awareness expands, you begin to see how every act of kindness, every spark of compassion, every breath of forgiveness transforms the collective field we all share. When you rise, others rise too, because in the end, everyone is you in another form. The secret is that the game of life was never meant to be won by defeating others, but by remembering your unity with them. True mastery is not control, it's alignment. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that the universe is not against you, it's responding to you. When you learn to move through life with this understanding, every challenge becomes an invitation to evolve, and every victory becomes a shared awakening. And that's when you finally realize the only real way to win this game is through love, awareness, and the courage to keep playing with your whole heart. Life, as Carl Jung revealed, is not a cruel test, but a profound psychological game, one that rewards awareness, self-understanding, and inner balance. The moment you stop reacting and start observing, you begin to master the game instead of being played by it. Remember, every challenge is simply another move, inviting you to grow in wisdom and consciousness. So keep playing with presence, courage, and grace. If this message has inspired you today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. And turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos on awakening, transformation, and the deeper truths of the soul. The hidden spiritual reason you're constantly thinking about someone. What you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create Buddha. Have you ever wondered why a certain person keeps appearing in your thoughts, no matter how much you try to move on? Perhaps it isn't just coincidence. Perhaps it's the universe, or your subconscious mind, trying to tell you something profound about your spiritual path. In today's video, the hidden spiritual reason. You're constantly thinking about someone. Carl Jung explains, we'll explore how these recurring thoughts may reveal energetic bonds, unresolved emotions, or the mirror of your own soul seeking healing and growth. As you listen, think about the people who often cross your mind. What might their presence be reflecting within you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's uncover these hidden truths together. Welcome to Spiritual Wisdom, where every insight brings you closer to your true self. 1. Thoughts as energetic signals. Your thoughts are not random flickers of the mind. They are waves of energy vibrating through the field of consciousness, forming invisible connections that link you to people, places, and emotions across time and space. When you find yourself constantly thinking about someone, it's not mere coincidence, but an energetic frequency between two souls communicating beyond the limits of physical reality. In spirituality, every thought is a message, a signal carrying emotional information. Carl Jung, a master of analytical psychology, believed that repetitive thoughts are expressions of deeper psychological and spiritual truths surfacing from the unconscious. They are not meant to torment you, but to awaken you. The mind doesn't simply replay the past. It reflects what is unresolved within you, what still seeks harmony, healing, or closure. When someone occupies your thoughts again and again, your consciousness is not just remembering them, it's mirroring your inner world. Jung taught that the unconscious speaks through symbols and relationships. The person who lingers in your mind might not represent themselves, but a hidden aspect of your soul calling for recognition. They may embody an archetype, the lover you long for, the shadow you resist, or the wounded child you've forgotten. Through spirituality, this is understood as a sacred mirror, an energetic reflection revealing what your spirit yearns to integrate. Spiritual awakening often begins when you realize that your deepest emotional bonds are not accidents. They are teachers sent by the universe to lead you toward wholeness. Every thought is energy in motion, and when that energy is directed towards someone, it becomes a vibrational signal that transcends physical distance. If your frequencies match or share emotional resonance, this energetic bridge keeps both souls aligned in thought, as if their subconscious minds are whispering across invisible dimensions. This is not fantasy. It's how energy works in the higher reality of spirituality. Thoughts are alive, and emotions are magnetic. They shape your field, attract similar vibrations, and connect you to those who are meant to mirror a part of your evolution. Sometimes, it's a connection of unfinished lessons. Other times, it's a divine reminder that your soul is expanding through love, pain, and remembrance. When you stop fighting the thought and start listening to it, something extraordinary happens. Clarity replaces confusion, and your emotional energy shifts from attachment to understanding. Constantly thinking about someone then becomes less of an obsession and more of a divine signal guiding you home to yourself. It's the universe's way of saying that consciousness is communication, and your mind, heart, and spirit are learning to speak the same language. The key is to listen not to the noise of longing, but to the wisdom behind it. Every energetic pull is a lesson in alignment, reminding you that spirituality is not about chasing answers outside yourself. It's about recognizing that everything you feel is a reflection of what your soul already knows. Do you feel this truth resonating within you? If you do, let your energy speak. Comment below. My thoughts are energy, and I am aligned with the one meant for me. 2. Projection and the mirror of the psyche. The person you can't stop thinking about often represents a reflection of your own inner world, a part of your psyche reaching out for acknowledgement and integration. Carl Jung believed that what we see in others is not random. It is our unconscious mind projecting an unhealed or unrealized aspect of ourselves. In the journey of spirituality and spiritual growth, these projections are not punishments or coincidences. They are mirrors sent by life itself, urging you to see what you've hidden from your awareness. When someone occupies your thoughts endlessly, it's usually because they embody an emotion, a wound, or a forgotten truth within you that's asking to be brought to light. You may think it's about them, but it's actually your soul calling you inward, saying, "Look here. There's something you still need to understand about yourself." Sometimes the person you think about constantly awakens parts of your heart. You've silenced your vulnerability, your desire, your creativity, or your pain. Other times, they mirror your shadow, showing you where you still carry fear, attachment, or illusion. As Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This constant mental return to someone is your psyche's way of trying to integrate what has been denied. It's not always about love or longing. It can be about reclaiming lost power or facing the emotional truths you once buried. Perhaps they represent freedom you crave, confidence you envy, or compassion you suppress. Through the lens of spirituality, everyone who lingers in your thoughts is a teacher dressed as a mirror. They reveal not what you lack, but what you've yet to recognize within yourself. When you can see this clearly, obsession turns into observation, and longing turns into learning. You begin to understand that no one outside of you holds the key to your peace. That power has always been yours. Every connection, every recurring thought is a step toward greater wholeness, helping you remember that the purpose of all relationships is not possession, but awakening. So when you can't stop thinking about someone, take a deep breath and turn inward. Ask your heart, what am I really feeling? What is this person showing me about myself? You'll find that behind every thought lies an emotion, and behind every emotion lies wisdom. The more you acknowledge these inner truths, the more you free yourself from emotional dependency. This is what spiritual growth looks like, not escaping your feelings, but transforming them into understanding. The mind works through symbols, and the person you keep returning to is one of those symbols, representing a piece of your inner universe waiting to come home. Once you embrace that, you no longer chase after closure from others. You find closure within. Because every thought, every face, and every connection you can't forget is ultimately a reflection of your own divine self, inviting you to awaken, integrate, and become whole again. If this insight resonates with you, take a moment to reflect on what your mind might be mirroring back to you. Comment below. I am ready to see my reflection clearly, to affirm your commitment to this journey of self-awareness and transformation. 3. Archetypal connection, animus and anima. In Jungian psychology, when you can't stop thinking about someone, Carl Jung would say it's not necessarily about that person, but about the reflection of your own unconscious. This fixation can symbolize what Jung called the archetypal connection between your inner masculine, animus, and inner feminine, anima. It means the person appearing in your mind mirrors the qualities within you that are asking for acknowledgement, balance, or healing. According to Jung's spiritual wisdom, these inner archetypes shape how you love, perceive, and relate to others. The animus embodies logic, will, and action, while the anima represents emotion, intuition, and receptivity. When one of these energies is suppressed, your unconscious seeks balance by projecting it outward, often onto someone who awakens it within you. So when a person keeps returning to your thoughts, it might not be an obsession, but a symbolic mirror of the aspects of yourself that are long to be seen. Every encounter becomes a reflection. If you are a woman who keeps thinking about a man, it may reveal your inner masculine's desire to express confidence, purpose, and clarity. If you are a man who can't stop thinking about a woman, she may represent your inner feminine's call to reconnect with empathy, intuition, and creativity. Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." That truth unfolds through these internal unions, when the animus and anima stop fighting and start dancing in harmony. These people who enter your awareness are not coincidences. They are symbols sent by your psyche to awaken you. Instead of resisting those thoughts, observe them. What does this person awaken within you? Strength, vulnerability, longing, or courage? Perhaps they embody the qualities you secretly crave or the ones you've hidden to survive. As Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Fate, in this case, wears the face of the one you can't forget. But the purpose is not to cling to them. It's to retrieve the energy you projected onto them and bring it back to yourself. When you finally integrate these opposing energies, something magical happens. The constant mental noise quiets. The emotional storm settles. The person's image fades, but the wisdom they carried remains. You begin to realize that they were never the destination, but the catalyst for your spiritual awakening. Through them, you remembered what was missing within. That is the hidden beauty of what Carl Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole. Every connection, every thought, every longing is a message from your soul, inviting you to reconcile the divine masculine and feminine within. And once you do, you stop seeking completion in others, because you finally find it within yourself. 4. Synchronicity and symbolic reality. When you find yourself thinking about someone and, almost like a whisper from the universe, you hear their name, see their picture, or encounter a song that stirs memories of them, it's easy to call it coincidence, but in spirituality and spiritual awakening, nothing is ever random. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, called this phenomenon synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence that reveals a hidden harmony between your inner psyche and the outer world. It's as though your thoughts are not confined to your mind, but are part of an invisible network connecting you to the flow of universal consciousness. Every sign, every name, every song carries symbolic meaning, urging you to look beyond surface reality and into the deeper language of the soul. These moments are not meant to confuse you. They are invitations to awaken to the profound truth that life is communicating with you through patterns and resonance. In a state of spiritual awakening, the outer world becomes a reflection of your inner emotional landscape. The constant appearance of reminders about a person, whether through dreams, random encounters, or sudden intuitions, is often your subconscious trying to bring something important to light. Jung believed that the unconscious mind speaks through symbols because ordinary words cannot hold the depth of what the soul wants to express. When you think about someone repeatedly and the universe echoes their presence back to you, it's not necessarily about them. It's about what they symbolize within you. Maybe they represent unresolved feelings, unhealed wounds, or aspects of yourself you have yet to fully accept. The universe uses synchronicity as a mirror, revealing the parts of your psyche that are ready for healing, transformation, or release. Each coincidence is like a sacred whisper, reminding you that everything in existence is energetically connected. The universe communicates gently through these synchronicities, using them as a bridge between your conscious awareness and your deeper truth. When such signs appear, the question isn't why them, but what is this showing me about myself? Sometimes, The person you can't stop thinking about carries an energetic message. Perhaps you share a spiritual contract, a karmic lesson, or a mirror of love and fear that your soul needs to integrate. In this way, spiritual awakening teaches you that every external event carries an inner reflection. As Jung wisely said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. The repetition of thoughts and signs is the universe's way of helping you make the unconscious conscious, guiding you toward wholeness and awareness. You are not being haunted by coincidence. You are being guided by divine intelligence. The connection you feel to someone is not always physical or emotional. It can be energetic, soul-based, or symbolic, existing to trigger your evolution. The moment you recognize that synchronicity is communication rather than coincidence, you begin to live from a higher state of awareness. Every name you hear, every lyric that touches you, every seemingly random encounter becomes a thread in the tapestry of meaning woven by the cosmos itself. Through spirituality, you start to see that you are not a passive observer of life, but a conscious participant in an ongoing dialogue between your soul and the universe. And as your awareness deepens, you come to understand that nothing, no thought, no sign, no connection is ever wasted. Everything you notice is part of your journey toward spiritual awakening, gently guiding you back to the truth that everything and everyone is connected through the infinite field of consciousness. Leave a like and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next awakening insight. Stay aligned with the flow of synchronicity and divine timing. Comment below. I trust the universe to guide me through every sign and symbol. 5. Emotional clues and inner messages. Every emotion you feel towards someone, whether it's longing, admiration, fear, or anger, isn't just a fleeting sensation. It's a coded message from the depths of your unconscious mind, a whisper from your inner world calling for your awareness. In the journey of spirituality and spiritual growth, these emotions act as sacred messengers that reveal where your soul is trying to evolve. When you feel a deep pull towards someone, it's rarely about them. Instead, it's a reflection of the parts of yourself that long to be acknowledged and integrated. Carl Jung beautifully said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This truth reminds you that your emotions are mirror symbols that illuminate hidden corners of your psyche and guide you toward wholeness. When you feel admiration, it may be your higher self showing you qualities you possess but have yet to embody. When you feel longing, it may point to an unmet need within your emotional or spiritual life. Fear can reveal resistance to growth, while anger might signal boundaries that have been ignored or crossed. Instead of judging these feelings, you can learn to decode them with compassion. They are not signs of weakness, but invitations for transformation. Each emotion carries a spiritual lesson about your energy, your needs, and your evolution. Observing them without labeling right or wrong allows you to see their divine purpose, helping you reclaim pieces of your soul that have been lost through neglect, pain, or denial. In Jungian psychology, this process is part of individuation, the sacred path toward becoming your true, integrated self. Through this lens, constantly thinking about someone is not a coincidence. It's a reflection of an energetic connection designed to awaken your awareness. The person who occupies your thoughts may represent a forgotten aspect of your own consciousness. They mirror the emotional energy that needs to be acknowledged, healed, or reclaimed. When you shift your attention from the external person to the internal meaning, you move from projection to self-realization. The emotions that once confused you now become your greatest teachers, guiding you towards spiritual clarity and freedom. As you learn to witness your emotions without judgment, you begin to hear their symbolic language. Your heart becomes the interpreter of your unconscious mind. That person who lingers in your thoughts might not be there to fulfill a romantic or social purpose. They could be a divine catalyst, awakening something within you that has been dormant. Perhaps they appear to help you understand the patterns of attachment, forgiveness, or self-love that you must master. Spiritual growth begins when you no longer chase the external source of emotion, but turn inward to uncover its meaning. Each feeling you experience holds a vibration, and when you face it consciously, you transmute that energy into wisdom. The act of listening to your emotions becomes a form of prayer, a conversation between your conscious mind and your higher self. The more you listen, the more fluent you become in your inner language. And as this understanding deepens, your emotional landscape transforms from chaos into clarity, from confusion into peace. In that stillness, you realize that your emotions were never obstacles. They were stepping stones guiding you home to your truest self. Through this awareness, your spirituality deepens and your soul expands, allowing you to live with greater balance, authenticity, and grace. Comment below, "I listen to my emotions with wisdom," and let it remind you that every feeling carries a sacred message from your inner self. When you honor your emotions instead of resisting them, you unlock the hidden guidance of your soul. Stay present, stay aware, and let your emotional truth lead you toward awakening. 6. Shadow work and integration. When someone triggers discomfort, confusion, or an almost magnetic pull in you, they're not just passing through your mind by accident. They are mirroring something hidden within you. In the language of Carl Jung and his profound spiritual wisdom, this is your shadow speaking. The shadow represents the rejected, forgotten, or suppressed parts of your psyche, the qualities you've denied yourself because they didn't fit your idea of who you thought you should be. When a person evokes an intense emotional response, it isn't simply about them. It's your soul's attempt to bring these buried aspects back into your awareness so you can finally heal and become whole. Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." And that single truth contains the key to self-liberation. When you feel jealousy, anger, or obsession towards someone, your unconscious is whispering that this emotion holds a clue. Maybe the confidence you admire in them is the same confidence you've been too afraid to own. Maybe their arrogance touches the wound of your own unacknowledged pride. The universe, through its mysterious design, uses relationships as mirrors, each encounter reflecting parts of you that seek reconciliation. In spiritual awakening, no meeting is random. Every emotional trigger is an opportunity for integration. The people who challenge you the most are often your greatest teachers, showing you the exact fragments of your soul that are still waiting for your love. Shadow work is the art of turning inward when you most want to look outward. Instead of blaming, avoiding, or romanticizing the person who consumes your thoughts, you pause and ask, what part of me are they revealing? This act of self-inquiry transforms emotional pain into spiritual wisdom. As you begin to see these patterns clearly, you reclaim your lost energy. The emotions that once ruled you lose their grip, and you begin to move with awareness instead of reaction. Jung called this sacred process individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming your true self by reconciling the conscious and unconscious. It's not about eliminating darkness, but about learning to walk beside it with compassion and understanding. Through the integration of the shadow, the mind's war against itself begins to dissolve. The qualities you once projected onto others, your anger, vulnerability, or passion, return home as sources of power. You realize that the person who once haunted your thoughts was never your enemy or your destiny, but your reflection, inviting you to awaken. The wound is the place where the light enters you, Rumi wrote, and within that light lies the freedom to love without fear and to see without illusion. When you embrace what you once denied, you discover that the shadow was never a curse. It was the doorway to your own divine wholeness. 7. Spiritual evolution and soul contracts. From a spiritual perspective, constantly thinking about someone is not simply an accident of the mind. It's often a reflection of a temporary soul contract designed for your spiritual evolution. In the journey of spirituality and spiritual awakening, certain souls enter your life not to stay forever, but to awaken something within you. These connections, though invisible, carry an energetic agreement between two souls to help each other grow, heal, and awaken to higher consciousness. When a particular person keeps reappearing in your thoughts, it isn't always about them. It's about what they represent within your inner world. They act as a mirror, reflecting your unhealed wounds, suppressed emotions, or forgotten strengths. Your soul uses them as a catalyst, a spiritual teacher disguised in human form, to help you recognize what still seeks balance and transformation inside you. Carl Jung's teachings illuminate this phenomenon with striking clarity. He believed that what we project onto others often represents what remains unacknowledged within ourselves. In this sense, the person who dominates your thoughts is not there to disturb your peace, but to reveal your own hidden energy patterns. The more you resist the lesson, the stronger the pull becomes, as if your consciousness keeps replaying the same emotional frequency until you finally understand the message. This is the essence of soul contracts, mutual awakening through recognition. The intensity you feel is the soul's way of saying, it's time to evolve. As your awareness deepens, you begin to understand that these connections are not punishments or coincidences. They are divine arrangements designed to realign you with your higher purpose. Through emotional turbulence, spiritual insight is born. The attachment, the longing, the endless cycle of thoughts, all of it pushes you toward surrender, forcing you to reclaim your own energy. Once the emotional lesson is integrated, the connection starts to lose its magnetic grip. You no longer feel the same mental pull because your soul has absorbed the wisdom it came to receive. At this stage, peace naturally replaces intensity. You look back and realize that the person who once consumed your thoughts was a messenger of light hidden within the shadow of desire. They entered your path to awaken the dormant parts of your soul, to show you where love needed to flow freely, without fear or expectation. When you release the energy tied to them, you step into spiritual freedom. The mind quiets because the contract is complete. Both souls have received what they came for. In truth, this process reveals that spiritual awakening is not about forgetting someone, but about remembering yourself through them. Each connection, no matter how fleeting, serves your evolution, guiding you closer to inner harmony and divine consciousness. If you find this content touching your heart, please consider becoming a member to receive more in-depth lessons and direct support from me. 8. Awakening and individuation. When you find yourself constantly thinking about someone, it's not just about them. It's a reflection of your own spiritual awakening unfolding from within. Carl Jung taught that such persistent thoughts are never coincidences, but messages from the unconscious, guiding you toward deeper spiritual growth and inner harmony. These thoughts rise to the surface because a part of you is asking to be seen, understood, and healed. You may feel as if your mind is looping back to this person without reason, but what's truly happening is that your soul is trying to lead you toward integration. The energy behind these thoughts is symbolic. It reveals something hidden within your psyche that's ready to awaken. Each person who enters your awareness acts as a mirror of your inner world. They might stir emotions you've long buried or awaken dreams you once silenced. Jung described this journey as individuation, the sacred process of becoming whole by uniting your conscious and unconscious selves. The person who occupies your thoughts is not there by accident. They are a messenger from your deeper self. Their image represents the parts of you that you've projected outward, your fears, desires, strengths, or unhealed wounds. As you evolve, life uses these mirrors to help you see what you're ready to face. Every thought becomes a clue. Every emotional reaction, a guide leading you toward greater self-awareness. When the same person repeatedly appears in your mind, it's your spirit inviting you to examine the energy beneath that connection. Maybe it's teaching you about attachment, boundaries, or unconditional love. Maybe it's helping you release old identities that no longer fit the person you're becoming. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, Jung said. And these recurring thoughts are the unconscious knocking on your door. Instead of fighting them, listen. Ask what they're trying to reveal about your inner landscape. Sometimes the person symbolizes closure. Other times, they awaken compassion or forgiveness. But always, they lead you closer to self-realization. In this sense, constant thoughts about someone are not signs of obsession. They are signs of transformation. You are being guided to transcend emotional dependency and reclaim your inner power. When you shift your focus from, "Why can't I stop thinking about them?" to, "What is this teaching me about myself?" you step into the realm of spiritual maturity. You begin to see that your deepest relationships are not built in the physical realm, but in the energetic and symbolic space of the soul. Through awareness, you break free from illusion and enter a state of peace that no one else can give or take away. This is the essence of spirituality, to recognize that every experience, every connection, every thought exists to bring you closer to wholeness. The more you honor the lessons behind these inner reflections, the more your energy aligns with love, acceptance, and truth. Over time, the obsessive pull softens into clarity, The longing transforms into gratitude, and what once felt like confusion becomes a bridge to awakening. What seemed to be about another person was, all along, your own soul calling you home to yourself. And so, if you've ever found yourself thinking about someone again and again, perhaps it's not just coincidence, but a message from the deeper layers of your soul. As Carl Jung reminds us, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Every thought, every pull may be your inner world inviting you to awaken, to heal, and to understand the unseen connection that mirrors your own spiritual evolution. If this message resonates with you, remember to like this video, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming explorations into the mysteries of the soul and the hidden language of the psyche.